So yes, Riya, we at GMATWhiz always want help students to kind of get the best success stories and get inspiration from some really great people. So how did you feel when you saw that ISB acceptance mail in your mailbox? How was the feeling on that day?
It was unreal. So first of all, Piyush, thank you for having me here. Uh, the feeling of getting the mail. So I remember we had spoken around that time, and you told me the results will be delayed because my interview had happened on the first week of Jan,
Yes,
like
yes,
Jan
yes.
3rd.
You
Yeah,
were you were one of the earliest people to get the interview
yeah,
invites from
yeah.
ISB round two. Yeah.
Yeah, and the results had not come out like even by the second week of Feb. I remember results came out on Feb 15th. So everyone was freaking out like what is happening, and so that kind of tension was there in my head. But I remember on 15th Feb 11:45 I'm getting the email. So I was checking my mailbox or something else, and then suddenly there's a mail from ISB saying congratulations and you got in, and it was unreal. Like I think I started screaming before I read the whole mail. So it was just excitement to the ultimate
Yes.
level, and that feeling of achievement. So yeah, it was
Wow.
great. It was just one of the
ISB
best
is
moments.
is is definitely a school to like gun for, like the best B school in India possibly. And I
Yeah.
remember my days when I was a student when I
Uh-huh.
really like in my case also I applied to MDI and the results were delayed by 2 weeks. And I
Uh-huh.
remember like those days used to be so bad. I used to like sit entire day on my laptop waiting
Yeah.
in forums to see if anyone has gotten the acceptance or
Yeah,
not. And
yeah.
it's really, really a different feeling. So let's start with your introduction again. I just want to capture this moment of you receiving the acceptance, but let's start with your introduction, basically.
Okay, so my name is Ria Elizabeth Renju. I'm currently working as a software engineer at Wells Fargo. I finished my engineering in computer science from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai, and I've been working for 2.5 years. This July, it should have been three.
Okay.
So that is when my goal of an MBA came in, and ISB was like my top priority because like you said, it's one of probably one of the best, not one of the
Mhm.
best, probably the best B
Mhm.
school in India. So to get there in itself is one thing. And uh, and I honestly started feeling at one point that when people say that when you get into ISP, you are getting an international level experience. So I think that is when I decided ISB was like ISB aligned with a lot of things that I wanted to do
Mhm.
post my this experience and onto my MBA journey. So that's when we approached, and here we are.
In fact, you come from a very, very competitive school. Again, I know you are aware of it, but for the users who, like a lot of people who are coming from software engineering background, really think that can they make it to ISB? It's really competitive, and obviously, in terms of experience, also you are at the lower end of the spectrum.
Yes,
So
yes.
that was definitely a challenging thing. But I loved your intent that okay, I am gonna only apply to ISB. I'm gonna
Mm,
go for the best or nothing, and that
yeah.
was a very big bet that you took. But yes, like all is well when it ends well. You did your 100%. You got through. So let's talk about your journey. Like, how did you approach the application of ISB? What was your steps basically involved? Let's run the users through that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think first I should start with how I approached you. So
Mhm.
I had come across, so it's actually very surprising. It's a full circle because the first time I got to know about GMATWhiz and about you was through an interview on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when I saw the interview, I went through the whole thing, and I felt there was something real about this. I like the structure that was being followed, and it does not seem like someone else was doing it for you, but you were actually involved in this, and you had control and you knew what. So I feel like that was a very good process. So GMATWhiz was definitely there, and I had gone around and found the numbers and kept it. And I'd also approached other consultants, but to be very honest, I did not feel like they cared. I remember the first conversation
Mhm.
I had with you, Piyush, and I told you about my background and I told you about my GMAT score and everything. And you gave me the confidence that this can be done.
Mhm.
So no one else was like, they were like, okay, it can happen, but this is there, that is there. I did not really feel that confidence with the other consultants. So that is when I decided, no, I want someone who has confidence in my profile, and that we can get this done. So
Okay, that's
that's how we went ahead and everything. And I remember I'd approached you around November end,
correct. Correct.
and
It was very close to the
yeah,
deadline,
yeah,
around I
exactly.
think 15 days or so we had
Yeah,
approximately.
yeah, yeah. So, but again, I had mentioned that also, and I remember you were not like hazed by that fact. Like you knew we could get. So I knew that you had clarity on, like what we should do to make this happen, and that gave me the confidence, to be very honest. So when we went ahead, also, like again, it was very close, like you said. December 8th was our deadline,
Deadline.
and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So the first thing that you gave me was the STAR framework, and I cannot emphasize how helpful that has been throughout my MBA journey, and even probably like even afterwards, because
Yeah.
I had graduated in 22,
Mhm.
but because of COVID, my college life technically ended in 2020.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I had forgotten a lot of things that I had done
Mhm.
until, like, I knew I'd done stuff in college, but I didn't know what all I had done. Like, I'd actually
Correct.
forgotten. So when you gave me that framework and you told me to take my time, like you were not rushing me into this, you told me to
Mhm.
take my time. And I started thinking things through, like I started going through my old, even photographs, certificates, everything. That's when I started recollecting things that I had done. And
Mhm.
it was not even on like a very uproot level. You made me break this down into situation, task, action, and
Mhm.
results. So
Correct.
again, we went into depth on what the impact of each thing was, and that made me remember a lot of things. So that was really, really helpful throughout, like even when we went on to my essays. But that was, I think, the best starting point. Also, like what my goals should be, like short term and long term goals, because
Mhm.
I remember you clearly told me that at ISP they don't want people who are confused about the journey.
Mhm.
Like they
Mhm.
want you to be sure of what you want to do.
Correct.
So yeah, I remember like sitting down and going through, like even getting myself a clarity out of all the options I had in my head, and then discussing with you on like which
Mhm.
would make more sense for me to pursue, so that you don't want to leave behind the experience that I already have, but make use of that. So I think that Excel sheet was the data dashboard was
Mhm.
like the best starting point, and I'm glad like you allowed me to take time on this.
No, no,
And
I'm glad that you took time on this, because honestly, I see people getting like nervous when they have just like 15 days before the application. They start feeling itchy about, I need to put in my effort and the essays, the resume, and so many things I have to do. But it was good that you also followed the advice. That
yeah.
it, like honestly, if I give you a data also, like out of, let's say, if I work with, just to give an example, if I work with 10 students,
Mm,
uh, only two of them would go
mm,
to the extent of looking at their photographs and past record and everything to actually
mm.
write down things for from all their life so well. So
Yeah.
great work from your side also on the data dashboard, because it has so many fields that you have to fill, right? So much
Mm, mm.
introspection that needs to be done. So it's a very
Yeah.
important piece, and there are like a few students I see that just write down one or two lines in each
Mm,
place, and then we are like, we have to rework on that again, because honestly, it's not just for me to kind of know what you have done in
mm,
your life, it's also for you to know, as you were telling, that okay, it helped
mm,
me introspect and understand my achievements, my impact, and the work that I did.
mm.
So kudos to you also for putting in that much effort so close to the deadline. But yes, that was very, very critical part.
Yeah. And actually, to add on to that note, Piyush, I remember, I think after my data dashboard session or something, like you said, I started freaking out. I think we had reached like the end of November or December 1st or something. And I was freaking out. Suddenly it hit me that, okay, essays are there, CVs. And I remember messaging you. And I was like, Piyush, I don't know how we're going to get all this done. And then I remember you texting me back, like almost immediately saying, it's okay. Like, we have this structured, we'll get this done. You just leave it up to me, we'll get this done. And again, that confidence, I think, like really calmed me down to a large
Correct.
extent. That, yeah, I knew what you were doing. So,
Yes.
like, it really helped me in that way also. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the idea is very simple. Like if you do like the work that we did on the data dashboard, like this is my experience basically, that
Mm,
if you actually do a good job on the data dashboard, it takes very little effort after that to
mm,
get the essays done. Because technically what has happened is that you have thought of all the things. Now all we need to do is like think about our goals, think about how this what are the skills that we need to kind of get to those goals, and just put the relevant things in the best way
Mm.
put forward in the essays. And for that, a week to about 10 days is more than sufficient, which is what we ended up achieving. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So then after the dashboard, I remember like we started on the essays. So then you had helped me out with the structure, like what you wanted and how you had picked out the points from the data dashboard, which we could elaborate onto the essays. So I think what people need, or rather, what I did not really know at that point is your essays are all about like putting on your crowns. It's not that. That's what I realized.
Correct. Correct.
There are these nuances in your profile which can be turned into the best parts about your profile. So I remember like for my first essay and all, you told me like to bring in an inspiration from your family, or and when I read the final essay, I was very happy with the way we had done that. Like because it's not something you put in your resume, like
Correct.
so in that way, I think that structure that you gave me like really amazed me also, like the way we had converted that into the essay, and how we followed that through for all the essays. So again, I remember to show the resilience, the example picked again, so a very minute thing, like I had migrated my branches. So again, it's not something that you would look and you would really talk about to a senior official in your first meeting, or you
Correct.
don't really think about it that way. But again, in the essay, I could see that it added to what we were trying to portray. That was one of the main things we showed in the essay. So
Correct.
in that way, like I think the structure really like changed my perspective, that the essay is not some creative writing contest that you have, but rather something that you
Hmm.
should use to
And
fine tune and
it's also not boasting concept that okay, you
yeah,
just boast about your achievements and all of that. It's important to kind of think about what you're going to get,
yeah,
like
yeah.
writing. So just build upon a little bit on the resilience part that you were talking about,
Mm.
and I'll just help users understand, because again, you and I both know the essays, you've worked on it together on it. But yeah, for people who are watching this and don't know about your story, so when we looked at essay three, now the essay two, sorry. So
Mm.
every year essays could be different. This was a new prompt ISB brought in this time, and honestly, I personally, from my experience, felt this was one of the toughest essays to tackle, because they're
Mm.
asking you for your intellectual experiences that have influenced your approach to learning and led to do an MBA also. So you have to talk about not just experiences, you have to talk about how you learned and how did it help you pursue an MBA. So here we had a chance to talk about resilience, to talk about basically the, let's say, going out of the way,
Mm.
basically to kind of learn new skills. And I remember when I saw that in the dashboard, you mentioned that when you move to a different stream, you try to move to computer science, and from your current scheme, which is I think electronics and
And
telecom.
computer vision. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, in that, you, along with going through your current coursework, you
Mm.
reached out to students who were like fourth year students as well in computer science, and did coursework which is done by senior students along with your current work, along with your current coursework. And at the same time, you're involved in two or three committees as well, where you were doing good job. I right away felt that this is the star example. Because what we need to understand is that what is ISB looking at through this essay? What is
Yeah.
ISB looking at? They are looking at you. You have to understand how rigorous the ISB program is. It's very, very challenging. And people who want to do well in, let's say, this program, they have to be like a 360-degree player. They have to do well in academics, they have to do work well in clubs, they have to participate in competitions, they have to do networking. And somehow, when I saw your example, I knew that this is where we can tick all those check boxes
Mm.
pretty well. Like you were networking with scholars, seniors, you were doing working clubs, you were doing competitions, you did well in acads as well. So this is indirectly giving ISB the hint that this person is meant for the curriculum that you're looking
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
So that's where things come into picture. So like what we were discussing, sorry, I just cut you there, but I just
No,
wanted
no.
users to understand
Yeah,
this perspective. So I think what was important to understand is that when you're looking at essays, don't just look at the prompts. Don't just try to fill information there or just try to boast about yourself. It's important to understand what is the question really asking and trying to understand how do I fit my skills here with relevant examples,
yeah, yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's very true. Like exactly how you explained. Like that was so true because I think Adcom is looking for like certain things, and we were able to show that because, like you said before, also they already have your CV, so
Correct.
they can see what the major things are. So it's about how you tailor your profile to what they are looking for and what ISB requires. So yeah,
Correct. Correct.
yeah,
So let's
it's
talk about your work experience also. So you had, as I said, like you were on the lower experience side of the
mm,
bracket in terms of, let's say, the typical pool that applies to ISB. So
mm.
how did you show, again, for ISB and most of the B schools, like leadership is a very, very important skill. So how did you show your leadership skills, or how did you compensate for lower work experience through your essays? What was the strategy that you followed?
Yeah. So I remember I had the same question to you when we started out. And then, so the way we showed, like you said, was that even though we have lesser experience, we should be able to show that we have done enough and more, like not belong to a generic thing, but we have gone above and beyond to like do that. So that came across through multiple examples from college onto my work. And then you told me that let's give more emphasis on work as well,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that we could show how clubs and all were okay,
Hmm.
but so that let's also show that this person or applicant is good in a professional network, and they know how to deal with those challenges. So I remember I had started my internship. I had gotten into Wells through an internship from my college. So the way we showed how my work made an impact over there, like how I was able to single-handedly take up like the first project that was given to me was a completely new thing, and that's why they wanted me into the team. So I remember how you helped me convert that into a leadership position, in the sense because it was an initiative that I was
Hmm.
handling on my own, and I was
Correct.
helping other teams do it at the end of my internship. So
Correct.
that was, I think, one major thing that we showcased, and the fact that we had a competition, and I got a
That was
position in that.
basically like a proof of concept that really worked out. So
Yeah.
just to add there, I think what is important when we look at leadership, people misread leadership as people leadership, but
Mm,
they need to understand that it's not just about people leadership. In fact, the way uh, technology and AI is progressing these days, a lot of it is also individual contributor project leadership that one has to showcase. If they can handle big projects, not necessarily people and big projects, and take it forward from there. So I think that was something which was very evident from the project that Riyad took, because you did a great job in the new implementation, which was a very complex implementation. And I remember very clearly that this was something even a lot of people in Wells did not know about. This was a completely new technology. And how did you go out of your way to kind of learn all about it and implement it even, was great. And definitely you winning the competition in your internship because of that project was icing on the cake. Because then when ISB adcoms look at that, they understand that yes, this is something we can actually rely on, because there's a proof to it, to the success of it, basically.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so exactly like you said. And I think I remember then we went on, like, and I remember we had showcased even the initiatives, like you said, similar initiatives that I taken up during the project after I converted. Also, even my
Correct.
conversion, the fact that a PPO happened, like
Mm,
that, I think that was also showcased in the profile. And
mm,
then I remember at work also I had organized a town hall for a senior leader, and we were showcasing that, showcasing that as well, because
correct.
I was managing people to organize, get everything done. So again, that also we showcased it as
Correct. Correct.
something which could contribute to the skills. Again, something even minor, that might look minor, but my experience, because we said that I want to move into a PM role. I remember we showcased how in my project I closely worked with product managers. So this was
Correct.
not an abstract concept in my head, but
Mm,
something that I was seeing in my day-to-day career, and that
Correct.
is why I wanted to do it, not just because it looked cool or something like that. So I think that step by step thing was what helped us overcome this lower experience, because what ISP is looking through with years of experience is clarity mainly,
Mm,
and
exactly.
what you have. So if you can showcase that you have done that before, I think that really helps your profile. Even though, like you said, I was literally just above the, they need 2 years
Just
experience
the
and I just have
minimum
put my
mark.
file.
Exactly. No, true,
Yeah.
true, very true. And I remember like this town hall thing that again, you being from a software engineering background, it was very important that we showcase other skills also, with, like work experience. That work experience was obviously like the work you did was in software, in technology. You can't really change that. But how you held the entire town hall, how you managed that entire process for Wells Fargo and took the let's say the step forward for it shows that you have other skills as well, which is very important to pitch when you are coming from such a competitive pool. And yes, definitely that product management thing, I kind of forgot that. It was like 4 months ago for me also. And I remember like when we were discussing initially, like this happened when the data dashboard, when you were getting all anxious about the essays and all that, I was telling you that, okay, no, I need an example where we can show how interacting with project managers had actually made you think about product management, because we want ISB to know that there is a reason, there is a background story behind this. And yes, obviously those were things that you had done. It was just that you hadn't looked at that being the reason of you moving into pre-em as such.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before okay, okay. So I think you, yes, please go. Yeah.
No, sorry, to actually add on to that, I think what we really look for is, we want like the major things to stand out, but it's not that. It's that you
Yes,
need to showcase how you can change what you have and make it into the best of the things, like not give
exactly.
out things that have no sense, but use what you have done until now and then showcase it in the best possible way. So I think,
Exactly.
yeah, that, yeah.
Exactly. You don't read essays as things to boast about your achievements. Understand what is expected and create a well-knit story to present your case. Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about the choice of recommenders. So a lot of people basically ask me this question that Piyush, ISB has just one recommendation letter that can go through. So who should my recommender be? Like, should it be a very senior person? Should it be my immediate manager? How important is it to choose the right recommender, and how did you go about choosing that, basically?
So I remember when we started this conversation, even I had few people in my head, because I was not sure if the position is what is going to matter more, or if that person's exposure to my work is what is going to matter more. Like, that confusion was there. So I remember we had someone who was working very closely with me in a lead position, and then
Okay.
someone who had worked with me during internship. So we had like put forth these options, and I remember you telling me, we need someone who has seen you from the time you were an intern to your current level of experience, because we have showcased all that as your journey. So we need someone who can give, like you said, a proof of concept of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that is why. So I was, again, like, before that I was confused about whether if ISB asked them like work specific questions, wouldn't a lead be in a better position to answer that, because
Hmm.
they have more
Correct.
exposure to it. But I remember you clarifying that, saying ISB is not really concerned about your technical details, like
Hmm.
what technology. They're not really looking for that. They're
Hmm.
looking for the kind of employee you are, or the kind of leader that you are. So
Hmm.
for that, a manager position makes more sense.
Correct.
And so prior to this itself, I remember you had asked me to, so I had approached all these people, and I had set up calls with them to discuss that such a thing was going on, and would they be open to writing the letter of recommendation for me. And they were all happy to do it. So then I remember, and we again had a discussion, and then you told me, let's go with the supervisor or the manager, because he had seen me from the time I was an intern throughout
Correct.
all these initiatives, projects, even my extracurriculars. So let's go with him. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. And this is a very big myth people have in mind that the more senior the person
Mm,
is, the better the resume recommendation letter is gonna be. But what they forget is that there are two things which are very, very critical in letter of recommendation. One, the person should have worked with you very closely to actually tell about your real qualities. Like it should not be work, you should not be working from a distance. And the second thing is that the person should know you for a decent amount of time. I generally say like above a year. And in your case, if we had someone from your internship time also, I knew that would be the best thing, because then we can actually use your internship experience, which was super powerful also, to kind of talk like present. Because the way I look at recommendations letters is that it acts as a proof to whatever you have claimed in your resume and your essays. So if someone like that is there, he can possibly talk about those examples. Naturally, they will talk about those examples. So that will be the best, let's say, proof that we can give to ISB as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
So let's talk about your interview experiences. Like basically, how was your interview? What was the questions being asked there?
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people share it, so I think it's okay. So, what were the questions being asked? How did you prepare for the interview? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So I remember we had submitted by December 8th, and then so major hurdle was over, and it was not really in my head because now we're yeah, December 30th, I get a mail from ISB again, close to midnight, that you have been shortlisted and your interview is on Jan 3rd, which left us with like barely any time. So I remember I took a screenshot and I immediately sent you. I was like, Piyush, I've been shortlisted and the interview is like right now. So I remember us talking at that point, and then when you told me we don't have a lot of time, so let's like try to break this down, and the first thing that you told me were the type of questions that you can get. Like you had a broad division for that. I think you might remember it better than me.
Yeah. Four categories of questions we
Yeah,
talked about. Correct,
questions
correct.
that we had, and you gave me an approach on how to answer each one of them.
Hmm.
So what we should be looking at and like how we can make that happen. And then I also remember you had shared a huge Excel sheet with like around 20 pages of questions in like different
Yes,
dimensions.
yes.
So I think that started, and then we set up a mock interview,
Hmm.
which was, I think my interview was on the
2 days
4th.
ago, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, and we set up day before that, like 2 days before that, basically.
yeah.
So we set up a mock interview, and I remember like right before that, I just sat down and I think, yeah. So one very important thing is you told me that the introduction carries a lot of weightage, and that was something no one had told me ever before. Because even when I was doing my interviews after college, after BTech, I never realized how much of an importance your introduction is, because you just go into an interview and like, I'm so and so, I'm from here, I'm that. But you told me to take my time with it, record, re-record until you are satisfied with what you're saying.
Hmm.
So I sat down and I spent a lot of time like trying to figure out the right introduction which captures everything, and it's not just boring, and it's not too
Hmm.
long. So
Correct.
that was the first thing that I did. And then I sat down and I looked at the different variations you had given me, like how why
Hmm.
MBA, why ISB, like such kind of questions. I wanted to make sure, like you told me also, so that the adcom that is sitting there is the alumni, so they will know if you are, basically
Yes.
faking this through.
Yeah, correct.
So
They'll get to feel that easily. Yeah.
yeah. So to like put this down in like points and then make sure what I want to portray. So I took some time out. I think I took like proper time out. I made notes on each questions, like what I want to convey, even related to product management, because you told me such kind of questions also will come up. So we
Correct.
had discussed like specific questions even before during my data. So again, like I said, data dashboard really helped me because we had put that
In
down.
fact, if the data dashboard was not there, there was no
Hmm.
chance on earth that we could ever prepare for the interview in what 4 5 days or 7 days time. There
Exactly.
was no chance of doing that. So
Yeah, yeah,
that is a very important thing, definitely. Yeah.
yeah. So then, once that was done, I remember the mock interview happened, and I think that was my biggest. Even now, when people ask me about the interview, I tell everyone the mock interview is something that helped me beyond what I can even convey. Because I remember we were on a call like this, and then we started with the questions, and then you really put me in a spot at like a lot of times.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
remember there was this one question I think it'll stay with me forever, because I was answering something, and then suddenly you were like, Ria, I think you are too loud for the classroom. I don't think you are a good fit for the MBA. So even I was was taken aback at that point for like a second. And then I continued to answer, in whatever way I could. And then even when you asked me, like, you were like at one point, I know you are a good leader, but I want to know you can also be a team player. So you give me examples. So these are again things that you don't normally think
Hmm.
about,
Correct.
because you're concentrated on, like, okay, I've shown
What
leadership
I
skills.
have done, yes.
Exactly. So putting me in the spot at a lot of those points really helped prepare me, because it also gave me the confidence that I can handle it. When you gave me a feedback and you told me that I was able to do it, like, it also gave me a confidence that I can handle these kind of questions.
Correct.
And it also gave me an idea on how I can do it better. And your feedback you gave me, like, really helped me. So I think
No,
that.
it is super important to be great because see, in your case, I've only asked that question. I've heard this year ISB, some of the interviews of some of my students of ISB, they're like crazy questions. One guy
Mm,
was not even asked to introduce himself. Like it was straight gunning into like questions, 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 and cross questioning was happening so much. Another person was asked questions around how has she helped her father's business grow, basically.
mm,
Like,
mm,
and she is not an entrepreneur. She is not an
mm,
entrepreneur at all. She just told her father is a businessman. And they
mm,
started questioning about her father's business, what it is about, what she has done, why
mm,
she hasn't helped it grow, and all those questions. No one
mm.
would ever imagine questions coming on that point. So
Exactly.
the one thing is that you can never prepare for all the questions, but you
Mm,
can always prepare for, let's say, prepare for being put on your feet to think, basically, to
yeah,
think on
yeah,
your feet, basically. So that's something which is important. They can, like the right what I was thinking about, put on the spot. So you
yeah,
can be put on the spot. You have to become comfortable with it, I guess.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
important.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me at the end of the interview that Adcom is not trying to rag you or anything. They're just trying
Yeah.
to see how they're nice people. They're just
Yes.
trying to see how much you can handle that stress. And again, I think that really was there in my head, that this is
Mhm.
not something personal. It's not that they don't
Correct.
like me or something in the interview. They're just trying to see if I can handle what it takes to be at ISV. So for the interview also, I remember for the actual interview, when you go there again, it's a very intimidating environment, because you suddenly have so many people over there, and
Yes.
everyone's walking around in all these formal clothes, and you see alumni walking up and down, people coming in, going out. So it's a very intimidating environment, and then you have some amount of waiting time before
Correct.
you get in, where you have your written test. And then you go into the interview, and for me again, they didn't want, so by that time I think the adcom was also done, because mine was at around 5:30, so they had enough of
Okay. Lot of interviews happen.
yeah, a lot of interviews for the day. So even they told me, don't, they didn't let me finish the introduction. They were like, walk me through the resume. They just
Mhm.
asked me to start with it. They cut me in between and they were like, why do you want to do an MBA? So I initially in my introduction, I had said that I want to move into a managerial position, and that's why. But then they were like, so you don't need an MBA to do that. You are in Bangalore. You can go on treks. You can take
Yeah.
group classes. You can network. So you don't really need an MBA. So in that way, that cross questioning continued. Like, it went to really different levels on why. So they're really looking for whether you have a reason to do an MBA. Like, are
Yes.
you
Whether
clear
you have
on?
thought it through. Correct.
Yeah. And again, about ISB and about even managing stress at a college, I remember they gave me a
Mhm.
lot of case situation. And when you think you have answered a situation, they'll bring in another factor. So
Okay.
then you have to change your answer about how you. So again, thinking on the feet was very important. Again, when I said that, so I had mentioned that product management is what I was looking for. They asked me about product, exactly like how Piyush had actually told me before. So they asked me about a product that I liked, what change would I make on it, what kind of what would I contribute, what feature would I
Mhm.
prefer to have. Again, so
Mhm.
they want that level of clarity. They're not expecting you to come to ISB and get that clarity. They want that beforehand.
Right.
So
Because
that,
it's a very, very short program. They want
yeah.
you to know what you want to do, and that's where the focus should be. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also your work experience, like, they asked me a lot about the project I was working on, and they brought in a PM aspect to that also, like how
Okay.
I would look at it as an engineer versus how I would look at it as a PM. So
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, so
nice.
at like every juncture, they have your resumes in front of you, they have your CV and your essays in front of you. So they know what all directions you have portrayed yourself in. So every
Mm.
answer can lead to different questions along that line. And I remember the end of it, they even asked me a guesstimate question, even though I was
Which was the
doing,
first for me to also hear.
yeah. But then my alumni committee was all consultants. So I think
Yeah, it was
that might
possibly
have
because of that.
helped. But
Because generally, all my students who go with a consulting goal or similar data analytics goal or something, I always make them prepare estimates. For you, I had never thought because in my experience till date, all the people I've worked with the similar profiles going for PM roles in the long run, none of them were asked a guesstimate ever.
yeah.
So this was a first for me also and a good learning. So I'll also start with it. Like you never know who can ask you that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that the answer to that possibly would not impact because they also know that you're not going for
Yeah,
a consulting role. Yeah.
like I said, they're just very nice people. That's what, like Piyush said, right? They are not there to. I remember Piyush told me before the interview that ISP has chosen these people to interview you for a reason.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
they are there because they are like people who can handle this, not
Yes.
someone who this thing. So the fact that that was there, and that was really evident, especially in my guesstimate question. Like they were very supportive and helpful throughout. It was not like they were put, even though the other questions might have put you on a spot and tested
Hmm.
your stress and everything. Over here they will help you out because, like you said, they know that you've not come for a consultant role exactly. So they
Correct.
will help you out, like at points when you feel like you're maybe getting too nervous or something.
Hmm.
They'll be like, no, it's okay, you can take any number you want, you can bring in factors you want. So again, I think more than a consultant point of view, they were just seeing how you
You
can
think.
deal
Hmm.
with the surprise coming your way. So
That, that.
yeah.
No, great experiences, and I'm very glad to have been part of your journey. So it's really great. All ended up well. Like round two this year, like was really crazy for people. Like
Mhm.
you were one of the few ones who got the interview first. You got the results also on time. A lot of people had to wait like crazy number of days to get it. Like this time around,
Mm.
the process was difficult, possibly because of the fact that they also had a new course coming up, PGP. So that
Mhm.
was possibly because of it. And I think you would already know it because you are in ISB group. So now they have equally split the
Yeah.
batch in Hyderabad and Mohali.
Yeah.
Earlier, there were like, I think 600 plus were
uh,
in Hyderabad and 200 was in Mohali. So
yeah.
that was the case. But yes, which campus you're going to? Hyderabad only, right?
Hyderabad campus. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. So thank you so much, Ria, for taking our time today on a Sunday morning and speaking to us about the ISB application experience. And wish you all the best for your MBA journey. Next, 12, 13 months are going to be a roller coaster. I won't say it will be all fun. So there will be moments. If I recall from my own MBA experience, the thing that hits you worse is not working with for a paycheck. So you're not gonna get paid for that entire year. That will be the first thing you
Yeah.
have to deal with.
Yeah, thank you so much, Piyush, because getting in was as much your it wouldn't have happened without your help and your contribution to the entire thing. So thank you so
It was a
much
pleasure
for
from
helping me through.
working with you and stay in touch, keep me posted. And
Yes.
again, if you need any help at any point of time reading an MBA also, just feel free to reach out. Like I do have a decent network of ISB alums
Mm.
also. Again, you will have a bigger network also, but again, at any point of time you want to reach out to a particular person from a particular industry, let me know. Whatever I can do, I'll try my best for that also. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
all the
Thank you so
best and thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank